welcome. How are you today?
I'm very good. How are you?
Excellent. So, you're going to be part of the Festival of Books and Creativity, which is coming up on June 29th at the 12 Mile Crossing at Fountain Walk in Novi, Michigan. There's going to be a total of 53 authors there. So lots and lots of books.
hmm
And I'm excited to learn about your books. You've got poetry, you've got romance. Tell us about those.
Let's see. Well, all of them take place in Michigan. The ones that I've got now, I've got a small town series and I've got a city series. So one's like a lakeside community in Michigan. It's more of a slow burn. And then I have the city one that's like in and around Detroit, and that one's definitely not a slow burn. And then one poetry book, which obviously it's poetry. It just takes place in the heart. So nowhere in particular. And they're all standalones but interconnected. So each series are like friends and family of each other, but you don't necessarily have to read them in order to enjoy any of the stories.
Oh, nice.
Mhm.
And then you have more books coming out. So, what do you have that's coming out shortly?
So I just had one that came out at the end of February. That's this one. And then
Oh,
I've written a novella. Originally, this was supposed to be a novella I was going to give to my newsletter subscribers, but
mhm.
apparently they really wanted to tell their story, so it grew. So instead, I'm writing her brother's story, and
Okay.
that's a novella. So that one, like the only way you can get the ebook is signing up for the newsletter. But I'm
Okay.
going to have the novella printed in paperback for the in-person event, and then I have another new series interconnected again. That's going to be my first one outside of Michigan. It's going to be in Kentucky.
Hmm.
And that one's going to come out at the more towards the end of summer. I don't quite have the release date. It's going to my editor in May, and then I'll be able to figure out timelines from there. And then I'm working on probably possibly a group project with another author about doing like fairy tale retellings. So I'm
Ooh.
gonna slide into the paranormal thing. Our first one that we're talking about right now is actually like Little Red Riding Hood retelling, and
Hmm.
I'm having a lot of fun actually working with somebody else coming up, and we're gonna see if we can write them quicker. We haven't decided yet if they're gonna be novellas or actual full books, but lots of projects in the work. And also in between all that, I'm writing the last standalone book for this series. Maybe the last standalone. Maybe we'll see.
So, what are the other books in that series? Can you show us those covers?
For the Lake House Love series, that's
Mhm.
the most recent one. And then we have this one.
Oh.
I can line it up
Mi
right.
Yep.
And then that one. So, like I said, you don't have to read them in order. If you
Okay.
were going to read them in order, the newest release actually is in the middle. If you want,
I
like I said,
love it.
it was supposed to be a novella, so like the opening chapter of this book actually is one of the chapters in this book. But like I
Okay.
said, you don't have to read this one to enjoy this one. I just know like some people they really like to read in order no matter what, even if the
Mhm.
books are standalones. But yeah, so
Mhm.
there's one more book coming out in this series, possibly at the beginning of next year. And then I'm
Okay.
playing with the idea of another one after that, but we'll see because I've got the new series and I've got the possibly retelling one. And
Mhm.
but it's one that I wanted to write because I wanted to it takes a character from this original, the Detroit series, that
Okay.
it takes one of the characters from there and one of the characters, Max's brother, and this newest release would be Max's brother's story along with a character that's in one of these books. So
So, crossing over from one from each series then.
uh-huh.
Neat. So,
Yeah, it's
what all
something
books are in that city series?
there's four right now currently.
Okay.
So we've got this one. I had to have my music romance because I love music.
I love that cover. That is
My
neat.
My cover designer is incredibly talented. You look too, if you look, I don't know if you can see, but it's
Oh, yeah, it
skyline
goes yeah.
all the way through on both sides.
Nice, I like that.
Yeah, she did a good job. These series was originally with a traditionally published publishing house.
Oh, okay.
And when I got the rights back for them, that's one of the things I loved is I got to make the covers the way that I wanted. And my cover designer was that like she wanted, the similar background, the same print, so you all know that it's
Yeah.
an interconnected series. Like her eye for it was fantastic. I mean, I loved my old publisher, but I have to say I love these covers more than the old ones. Don't tell my old publisher.
Well, and I think that's part of the great part of being independently published is that you have that creative control. Whereas even if you like your publisher, you release some of that control. And most of the time, that does include the cover art.
Yeah, I mean, and they were really good about listening. Like I had said,
Hmm.
like, there's certain covers I don't want. I don't want any bare chested guys on it. I want, the cartoon covers weren't quite as popular yet, but they were starting to get there, but they weren't doing them yet. So I have like people on those. So they listened, but they're confined by their stuff that they already have set in order. And I
Hmm.
did realize I definitely have control issues because like I was like, "Oh, I want to be traditionally published so they can do this and they can do that." And then I was like, "No." Then halfway through I was like, I think I kind of like being the boss and deciding what I want from my books and I can write
Hmm.
the stories I want and I'm not held by the constraints of publishing houses and what they want. Because I mean, I ran into that before. Like I've had with that original series, like I've had people that was like, "Oh, I like the series, but I can't take that book because this content's maybe is too serious," or where now I can just
Hmm.
do what I want.
So
It's
did you?
funny too because that was the one. It was this one. Like I had issues where they said they didn't want to take it because he was a recovering addict, 5 years clean, but they didn't want
Okay.
to take it because they said that is too serious. But out of the books, this is the one that is a favorite with my readers. And at
Isn't that something?
and at like in person ones, I usually have like tropes and stuff sitting with it, and just
Hmm.
that alone, like this is the book that's always the bestseller out of the whole series, even though it's like one right smack in the middle, even though it was the one that a couple of them, didn't want to take because of that one that it ended up being my most popular out of that series.
Hmm.
Um,
So you just never know what is going to truly sell.
mhm.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you've got romance and you've got poetry. Are we going to go into any other
Those
realms?
those are the poetry. That's the poetry. She
Ooh,
always gets forgotten. My poor
I
poetry.
like that. You need to submit that for our poetry contest.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we've got that submissions are accepted through the end of this month.
Oh, okay.
So,
All right. Yeah, I'll do that.
uh
Um,
are you planning any other are you strictly romance and poetry, or do you I know you said you've planned the one with the fairy tales that's going to be paranormal, you said?
mhm. Yeah, so it'll still be romance, but
Okay.
the subgenre will be paranormal, where like all these other ones, they're all modern day contemporary romances. So this will be my first time writing like a paranormal.
Mhm.
But I have to say, like I used to love paranormal. Like I read them all the time,
Mhm.
and revisiting them as a writer, I forgot how freaking much I loved paranormals, like being able to play with that whole magical aspect
Mhm.
of it is it's just been a ton of fun, like making it magical, but yet making it believable. It's just so fun.
Mhm.
All that, like, it's a whole nother element. It was just, like I said, I used to really, really like them. And then I just got sucked into like favorite rom-com authors. And I kind
Mhm.
of, the paranormal fell to the wayside. And again, because it's what I write, like I write the rom-com with humor, serious topics, but humor in them.
Mhm.
So I tend to read those type, and it's like the paranormal just fell to that wayside. So it has been a lot of fun revisiting those. In
Are
between all the a lot of times I still have to read and listen to and write.
So, what do you do aside from your writing career? What else do you do for other careers? Do you have any other careers?
Yeah, I have 2 part-time jobs. I
Mhm.
mean, I my main thing that I do is write, but I worked for, like, part-time, for a Broadway theater in Detroit, and I
Mm.
did that before I started writing, and I
Mhm.
love theater, so I don't wanna let it go just because I get to watch the shows, and I really like the people I work with and, like, going downtown, so it's, like, it's just a job I don't wanna let go, and
Mhm.
it's mostly in the winter, so I can do it, and then, in the summer, I teach people how to ride motorcycles. So, one's for the summer and one's for the winter, and both of them do make it hard to fit in writing time, but because I love both of those jobs, I don't wanna let either of them go, so I just manage them all. But I mean, it's easy when you enjoy like, I enjoy riding a motorcycle a lot. I enjoy teaching, especially teaching people they're there because they're learning a hobby that they're excited about, so it's fun to
Mhm.
and then the same thing when I'm at the theater, you're there with people who love the theater like me. The employees that work there are working there because they love the theater, so it's all fun to do, and then, of course, I love writing, so all of it's easy to maintain even if it doesn't leave a lot of free time because I love doing all of them. So,
So, is there any room for free time, and do you have any other hobbies that you are able to fit in there?
um, reading, of course. If it's like, say, right now where I'm finishing up, like when I had this new release coming out and working on things, I don't, and especially if I'm working too and I have to get up early, I don't have as much free time to read like written word.
Mhm.
So rely heavily on audiobooks a lot to fit in my
Mhm.
reading. Like, I love it. In fact, I've recently had the first book in my Lake House Love series. I had it narrated into an audiobook just because they're important to me, because that's how I can fit in my
Mhm.
writing when I don't have a lot of time. So that's my hobby. Photography is my hobby, which
Mm.
kind of I combined with traveling and hiking.
Oh.
So,
Mhm.
like, so I tend to combine stuff like that. Like, I love to travel, so I do traveling for like in-person events. I do traveling on my own. I do traveling writing retreats, but then when I'm there, I like to pick places that where I can get outdoors to hike and do photography and stuff like that.
So, where else are you going to be this spring and summer? I mean, you're going to be at the Festival of Books and Creativity, but that's not till the end of June. Do you have any big events between now and then?
I have a couple that are I have one that's on the coast, uh, Grand Haven, I think it
Mhm.
is, that I'm going to. And I'm doing another one that's up in Charlevoix that I went to last year. And again, I
Mm.
picked it because this book, the newest one, takes place in Traverse City in Charlevoix.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
a good place to go to share a book because people love to read where they live. And
Mhm.
um, it goes into the research too. Granted, the next book that's coming out in the series is going to be the small town where they're all from and Mackinac Island. But when I'm up that way,
Oh.
I can just keep going and visiting Mackinac as well. And I have one tentatively planned for Kentucky because my book coming out at the end of summer also takes place in Kentucky. And those are like, I've got a few scattered in between, but off the top of
Mhm.
my head. I'm terrible. It's like when somebody asks, "What do you want for your birthday?" and you can't remember it. It's like this. What are the things do you have planned? I don't know. Oh, one in Port Austin. We're gonna do a artists. It's a writers retreat along with like an
Ooh.
artist event, and that's going to be during their like masquerade weekend in September. That one should be fun because Port
Oh.
Austin is a really pretty city. We've done the
Mhm.
writers event there before, and just super welcoming community, and it's Port Austin. So I'm hoping the weather will be good and I can ride my motorcycle up there along the water.
Ooh, that'd be nice.
Hmm.
So, if you're riding your motorcycle, you're not gonna be vending your books there, are you? Or are you able to how much are you able to put on your bike?
Not a whole lot, but I have 2 other author friends that are going with me, and I could
Mhm.
always ask them to take up. some
Oh,
of the
okay.
books with me. Yeah, especially the motorcycle that I have. The one that I'm looking into, there's a lot more room for like saddlebags and stuff, but mine is
Mhm.
like one small saddlebag and a backpack. It'd be enough for me to be able to stay there for 4 nights clothes wise, but not
Okay.
books. But I'm sure the other two authors that are going with it, one is a pretty good friend of mine, and I'm sure she would happily take my books up there for me.
What kind of motorcycle do you have?
Right now, I have a Triumph Bonneville, so it's
Okay.
like a cruiser motorcycle, and then I do have my eye on the Harley Pan America because that one, oh my
Mhm.
god. Working there, I ride all their motorcycles, and that's probably my absolute favorite one. It's just and it's got a lot of room for travel, like cross country type, where the
Okay.
motorcycle I have now is great for like the farthest I'd go on it is Port Austin because after that it starts to get uncomfortable after 2 hours. It's just not meant for cross country riding, but
Okay.
it's a pretty bike. I'd probably never get rid of it. In fact, it's when I wrote this story, it is his bike. Like when I
Oh,
was
okay.
researching Jake, when I was researching because he has a motorcycle, he fixed it up, repaired it, did all that. I'm pointing to the wrong person. Um, I had to research motorcycles and stuff like that, and I found the Bonneville, and I absolutely loved it. So I had a different bike, and I sold that one and bought his motorcycle. So and it's funny that Pan America is actually the motorcycle that he rides in this book.
So I was wondering if your love of motorcycles got woven into your romance books.
Yeah, a little bit. I don't go as far as like writing motorcycle romances, like
Okay.
the motorcycle club romances, just because
Mhm.
I don't know about people who have written them, but like for me, it's too close to my personal like life where I know a lot of people where I work who are in actual motorcycle clubs,
Mhm.
and I don't know, the reality of it transfers a little too much in where I'd probably have a hard time writing the books, knowing it, where
Okay.
it's like, but I can write people who own motorcycles and realistically, and
Mhm.
because it's something I enjoy doing, I can show the joy of it in my book, but I'm not quite sure
Mhm.
if I could do like a whole series of it. And I've helped people out, other authors who do write motorcycle romances and want to make sure that they're not doing it incorrectly, like they'll send me their pages and stuff like that
Mm.
to make sure that it's accurate, that the stuff that's happening could actually happen on a motorcycle. So,
This is true.
mhm.
Even though it's fiction, you still wanna maintain a little bit of believability.
Exactly, exactly. And like you want like certain parts to be fiction, but the parts that are based in reality, you want
Mhm.
it to be I mean, that's how I am anyway. That's one of the reasons even growing up in Michigan, I researched so heavily in places that like when they were in Traverse City, I went to Traverse City to make sure that
Mhm.
I'm saying it correctly. When I had a wedding that was at the Detroit Institute of Arts, I went there repeatedly to make sure that I had the setup correctly because that's all
Mhm.
based in reality. So I want when especially if you have readers who go there frequently, like they're going to get pulled out of the story if it's incorrect. If I
Yep.
have a reader who rides motorcycles and I'm just making up crap that isn't, then they're kind of thrown from the story. They're like,
Yeah.
listen, if you can't get the simple details right, then I can't really buy into what you're selling with the romance type
Mhm.
of thing, is how I feel. So,
Well, awesome. I cannot wait to see you in person at the end of June. Hopefully, we have some beautiful weather for that.
fingers crossed.
It is the end of June, so it should be warmer.
Oh yeah, yep. It'll definitely be warmer. Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, can we get
Just
some
hopefully none
rain?
of the rain that's pouring outside right now.
Yeah, we had a torrential rainstorm that went through this morning, so but
Yeah,
it's
and we've had
beautiful
one for
now.
the last couple days, but I mean, really,
Mm,
from Michigan, it's not as bad in the summer. Like this is our time of the year where it rains and it's gloomy and stuff. Like usually in the
yep.
summer, when it is raining, you don't have the constant raining all day. It comes and it
Mhm.
goes type of thing. So
Well, and in Michigan, I'd much rather have rain than snow because you don't have to shovel the rain.
this is very true. This is true.
Well, it's been a joy to converse with you on your books, and I look forward to seeing you in June.
Same.